Ladies and gentlemen, the world shall know NBA Hot Takes. Alright, let's go ahead and pause this real quick. Alright guys, so as you can see, today I am dressed up as Pain from Naruto, because it is the Halloween episode. Hang on, let me get rid of that. And so I thought it would be fun to dress up, because it's, the Halloween episode. But with that being said, let's just go ahead and start talking about some basketball, shall we? So before we get started, I just want to shout out the platforms. We do have a new Twitter that I will be using to get in contact with you guys. Let you know whenever the episode is live. Let you know when the episode is uploaded on YouTube and Spotify. If the recording is postponed, then I let you guys know about that over on Twitter. I ask y'all to participate with me over on Twitter. And along with that, we also have a TikTok. The TikTok is a lot of podcast clips that I'll be posting over there, that sort of thing. And yeah, and that's pretty much it for the platforms. These episodes are also available over on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, wherever you get your podcast, so that if you don't want to watch the video on YouTube, you can put it on in the background while you're cleaning the kitchen, folding laundry, doing whatever you're doing. You can put it on in the background, listen to it. And that'll help us out as well, because we also get sponsorships over on Spotify with the more Spotify listeners that we have. So if you prefer an audio podcast, definitely go check it out over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. And I think that's it for all the platforms and social media stuff out the way. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about some of the stuff I have written down here. So unfortunately, I was not able to watch many of the games because a lot of them were on League Pass, and I am broke. So I did not get to watch the games live, but we definitely will pull up some box scores here and talk about that. But one thing I want to talk about is you may have seen before. If not, then we're going to talk about it right now. But Bol Bol liked a tweet on Twitter suggesting he get traded. And the reason I bring that up is because I wonder what the NBA is going to do about it, because you have other instances that are similar to this, or maybe even milder than this, and the NBA has given punishment for quote-unquote tampering. And then you have this happened, and even though it's real, I feel like the NBA hasn't said anything about it, and it could very easily go under the radar and nothing's done about it. So it's just one of those things that many people have talked about. Motown Noah's talked about it. Rusty Buckets has talked about it. Some of these bigger names have talked about it, where it's like, what classifies tampering and what doesn't classify as tampering. And if you're going to punish one person for one thing, you need to punish another person for that same thing, or just punish nobody at all. And you have to choose a lane, and the NBA is being very indecisive about the tampering rules. With that being said, though, I want to take a sec to see about 3 points per game, but that's because he's only I keep getting stream disconnected. Alright. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going. If the stream disconnects, it disconnects. We have to think about where he gets traded, because he's only averaging 3 points per game, but that's because he's only playing 5 minutes, because he plays the center position, and you have Jokic on that team. So obviously you're not going to get that many minutes when your main guy is the same position as you. So then we have to think about which team needs a center and which team has the tools to trade for him. So with Bol Bol only averaging about 3 minutes, or 3 points rather, I don't think that the Nuggets would be asking too much in order to trade for him. But then you have to think about who needs a center. And so let's go ahead and pull up some rosters real quick. The Pacers have Sabonis. The Magic might be able to use him. The Cavs have all big men. The Raptors have Siakam and Scotty Barnes. Nets don't need him. Hawks don't need him. Bucks, all these big name teams obviously don't need him. Jazz don't need him. Let's go ahead and go through here. The Pelicans could use him because Zion is, that's a whole different thing with that we talked about already. The Thunder have Josh Giddey now. Josh Giddey seems to be doing well, so the Thunder don't need him. The Spurs could use him. We have Jock Landale, though, and Portal's getting better. Portal's getting better. And we have Doug McDermott, all those guys. The Rockets don't really need him. Sengun, Garuba, they have all those guys. Suns don't need him. Lakers don't need him. Trailblazers might be able to use him a little bit. The Kings don't need him. Grizzlies don't need him. So the only team that could really maybe use him is the Trailblazers, you could argue. But if the Trailblazers don't need him, then he's not going to get traded anytime soon, because nobody really needs him. That's the problem. In order to get traded, you need to be, I get that, you want to be traded because you want to go somewhere where you're going to get played, but where else are you going to get played? Nobody really needs a big guy right now except for maybe Portland or the San Antonio Spurs. But the San Antonio Spurs have, Doug McDermott and Jock Landale and Portal, all those guys. So I definitely don't think that he's going to get traded anytime soon. Right. Next thing I have on here, I have a video coming out about this next Wednesday, as in 4 days from now. But I also wanted to talk about it on the podcast. Foul baiting is gone. Obviously, we have the new NBA foul baiting rules. And with that in effect, that means that defense is back. And defense being back is very, very exciting, because that means we're going to be seeing, more blocks, more steals, and there's going to be more rebound battles. It's going to be more intense fighting for rebounds. And it also means that teams that weren't in the discussion before now are, because it goes back to sort of it goes back to defense wins championships. And so then, instead of looking at who's scoring the most baskets, you look at, who is having this elite defense in the NBA. And I talked about it in the video. I will suggest you go watch it on Wednesday to get a more in-depth look about what I'm talking about. But I said that the Jazz, the Timberwolves, the Jazz and the Timberwolves could easily end up being deep playoff run teams because they have such monster defenses. And, I mean, Jazz are 4-0 right now, and they were also top in the conference last year, but last year they got kicked out of the playoffs semi-early, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think they could easily do a deep playoff run with their defense. You know, you have Rudy Gobert that won 3 Defensive Player of the Years, and Minnesota was on top for blocks and steals for a while, the first few games of this season. And then also, the 76ers, I want to see where the 76ers end up, because as much as people don't like Ben Simmons was a monster on defense, and now the 76ers don't have him, and the 76ers are losing to the Knicks and stuff like that. So I want to see how the 76ers do without Simmons, because Simmons' defense, as much as people don't like him, Simmons' defense definitely does play a role. He was up there for Defensive Player of the Year a couple times. So, but like I said, I have a video coming out on that soon. So if you want a more concise idea of what I'm talking about, because it's hard to come on a podcast as stream of consciousness sort of thing. So, but with a video, it's more scripted. I can get all my ideas out there versus me on a mic right now. I got to try and fit all of what I'm thinking in there and try and speak fast as well, so there aren't big gaps in speaking, since it is audio based and everything. So, all right. Next, we got the Lakers talk I wanted to talk about. So I made a video about it, and it's gaining some traction right now. But I do not think that the Lakers are going to go deep in the playoffs this year. And I know there's a lot of people that may agree with that, and there's a lot of people that strongly disagree with that. They want, Lakers-Nets finals, but let's take a step back and think for a sec. The Lakers coach is Frank Vogel. He's coached like little to no all-stars, and now he's coaching a team with 4 of the top 75. It's going to be an issue. And I talked about in that video that I think the Lakers' main problem is needing a better coach, because they need somebody who can make rotations and, tell, LeBron, Westbrook, AD, whoever, whatever the case may be, to go on the bench. And that is not a very easy thing to do. It's not just Frank Vogel, really. Any coach, going to LeBron and being like, "Hey, LeBron, sit down." It's very difficult for somebody to have the courage, 1, to do that, and 2, the ability to do that, because LeBron could very easily just say no and keep playing. You know what I mean? He's fucking LeBron James. So, and what are you gonna do if LeBron doesn't listen to you? Are you gonna suspend him for a game? If you suspend LeBron for a game, then the NBA is gonna be fucking blowing up, because LeBron's practically the face of the league right now. And if you suspend LeBron for a game, everybody everywhere is gonna be talking about it. So, but once again, like I said, there is a video on that has already come out, so definitely go check that if you want a more in-depth look of what I'm talking about. For loser of the week this week, it's going to be between the Pelicans and the San Antonio Spurs. And I know Spurs fans, y'all watch me, you know that I'm a Spurs fan, as you can see with this right here, literally right next to me. And I know a lot of my viewers are also Spurs fans. You know, Clan has shouted me out a couple times and things like that. But we've lost the past, like, 3-4 away games straight. So that's an issue. And Derek White, who we'll talk about later, Derek White is struggling right now. And then the Pelicans are just the Pelicans. I mean, I'm sorry, Pelicans fans, but you don't really have anything going for you right now. So y'all are kind of like Detroit right now, but Detroit just got Cade Cunningham. So y'all got to figure something out. But that's all I got for Loser of the Week, because we're going to go more in depth with the whole Derek White and Spurs things here in a sec. But the majority of this podcast episode is going to be talking about NBA hot takes. So I asked y'all on Twitter and on Instagram for some NBA hot takes, and unfortunately I did not get that many responses, because I mean the channel still only has about 200 subscribers. However, we can go here to Mr. Google and we can look up some other hot takes that people have had. So let's go ahead and share my screen real quick. Alright. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, this is the song I'm playing right now. This is from Vespid. He does the intro and outro for the YouTube vids as well, so go check him out. And this is literally just like a song on repeat that we're chilling to right now. So first up, we have SB Nation, and I'm gonna read each one of these out because once again there's people listening on Spotify and stuff like that, so I gotta give them audio to make up for video. So if there is like a video or something that plays, then I have to do, sort of a play-by-play. All right, SB Nation. First NBA hot take they have is Giannis will win MVP this year. And I don't know if this is really a hot take. I've seen other people that have, debated this before. And I could easily see it. He's already won 2. He want to be the first person to, actually, never mind. I was about to say he won't. I was thinking Defensive Player of the Year. I was about to say he wouldn't be the first person to win 3 Defensive Player of the Years because Rudy Gobert and Dwight Howard already have 3. But I could see Giannis winning it this year. It just depends on how well they do and how far they go in the playoffs and things like that. Because they did win a championship last year, but Giannis is really the only one playing right now, and the Bucks are losing games. So if you're losing games with your star player out there, even if your other starting 5 aren't really playing, then it's going to be hard to make a case for MVP. But, I mean, if you're out there and you're doing what you did in the playoffs and, you're dropping 40 points and winning the game with all your other 4 guys gone, then you could easily win an MVP. But Giannis has been putting up some numbers, though. So it is possible that he wins another MVP. But I think there are some other people that are in the discussion. I saw some people saying KD will win MVP this year. I don't think that's going to happen because he has Harden. People every single year say that LeBron's going to win an MVP. That's not going to happen, especially with what's going on with the Lakers that we just talked about. LeBron's one of the reasons that the Lakers are actually losing right now because, he's taking a lot of minutes from other guys, and LeBron is expecting everything to be his way, and that's causing issues. So There we go. Now y'all should be able to see a little bit better because Discord was messing up. Chris Duarte will make the all-rookie first team. I don't know enough about this to really debate or say yes or no to, so I'll leave that one up to you guys. All right, third one on here. LaMello Ball is going to be an all-star. I could easily see this. I don't really think this is a hot take. I think this is more of just sort of a given. I mean, yeah. LaMello, especially because all-star has to do with voting. I think LaMello will easily be a all-star this year. You know, he's putting up great numbers. He's doing what he needs to do. So he's gonna be an all-star this year. It's not really a hot take. That's more of a given. All right. Again, sort of a this is going to happen take rather than hot take. SB Nation, Zach LaVine is going to average 30 points per game. He's already putting up about, it says it right here. Zach LaVine put up 27.5 points per game last year, and this year, he's dropping 30, 35, whatever the case is. So I think this isn't really a hot take. This is just more of a it's going to happen sort of thing. The Knicks were no fluke last year. That's the other one on here. I thought these were supposed to be hot takes. These are just sort of stuff that is easily passable. The Knicks were no fluke last year, so it reads, Knicks Celtics was wild on Tuesday night. The Celtics had a big comeback in the fourth quarter to force overtime, but New York would eventually win the game in double overtime. Julius Randle was awesome, 35 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, blah, 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 blah. Evan Fournier, Obi Topping. Yeah, I like what it says here. It's hard to remember that the Knicks were number 4 seed last season. They have enforced a every game is game 7 mentality. And it says here the prediction is the Knicks will make the playoffs in the East without having to go through the play-in tournament. I agree with this. I could see them being a playoff team. The problem that I'm seeing, though, with the Knicks is that we were just talking about it. They went into double overtime, and obviously double overtime you're going to be tired, but I mean there were Knicks players that were like struggling to walk after that game. And so then you have to think about, okay, if they do make it into the playoffs, how well they're going to do in the playoffs, because if they're getting tired after a double overtime, then you're going to have to put in pretty much that same level of effort in the playoffs, like an overtime regular season game is about the same level of effort, I would argue, as a four-quarter playoff game. And so if you're getting tired, like, straight off the bat, imagine it's a 5-6 game series, and you're tired after game 1, game 2, then you're going to struggle in the playoffs and get knocked out because you just don't have that sort of stamina yet, it feels like, as a team. And I think that's the Knicks' main issue right now. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this, guys. But I think the Knicks' main concern is going to be not tiring themselves out. They're leaving every thing on the court, which is a good thing. But if you're leaving everything on the court and then in the playoffs, you tire yourself out after game 1 and you don't recover correctly, then game 2 you're just going to get blown out. All right. Patty Mills will win Sixth Man of the Year. Again, I don't think this is a hot take. I think this is easy, might happen, because during that first season opener for the Nets, he was 7 for 7, and my alarm's going off. He went 7 for 7 from 3, and he was with Pop's rotations. Some nights he was starting with the Spurs, and some nights he would come off the bench. But Patty Mills is basically has starting five level play style and skills. So him coming off the bench, yeah, he could easily win Sixth Man of the Year. Russell Westbrook is going to inspire the wildest takes all year. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I literally just made a video. Again that I was talking about that the Lakers team is an issue. So, yeah, with Russ on the Lakers, they're going to need to figure something out. But that's all for SB Nation. We can go here to Bleacher Report. All right. So these are hot takes, it says, for every team. So, all right. Hot take. Trae Young will finish top 5 in MVP voting. I don't know about top 5. Maybe top 10, top 7. Top 5, it could be argued, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It says the Hawks have the top level talent and the depth to build on last season's breakthrough, and Trae Young will be the epicenter of their success. He is their unquestioned leader as a scorer and setup artist, and a 3-point, 10-assist season average isn't entirely out of reach. It says if Atlanta holds the 4th seed, then Young could pull MVP votes. Yeah, it just kind of, it depends on who else is in the conversation for MVP, obviously. So, all right, Boston Celtics. Jayson Tatum will lead the NBA in scoring this season. Jayson Tatum, entering his 5th NBA season, has shown steady growth as a big-time scorer. This is debatable because we saw in the other game what Kemba Walker was doing. And so right here, whenever I said Kemba Walker, I meant to say Jaylen Brown. My bad. It seems that, again, it's only been about 5 games, but Jayson Tatum isn't even the top scorer on the Celtics right now. You know, obviously he had a 60-point game last year, but I mean, as for this week, he's getting beat out by players on his own team, let alone the rest of the NBA right now. So, Brooklyn Nets. Hot take, the Nets will begin the playoffs on the road. Even without Kyrie Irving, the Brooklyn Nets should still be the team to beat in the East, but it's looking as though the road they'll have to take to get there will be much bumpier than expected. Shouldn't be concerned that the Nets are losing 2 out of their first 3 games. It's how they're losing. We have seen the NBA's new rule changes impact many, but none more than James Harden. A free throw magnet for most of his career, Harden is getting to the line just 3 times per game thus far. Without those trips to the line, Harden's impact and Brooklyn's overall flow will indeed take a step back. He's one of the best in the league when it comes to scoring, and he will eventually figure out a way to get his share of points. But in the meantime, it'll cost the Nets a few games, which will leave the door open for defending champion Milwaukee and a handful of other teams in the East to move ahead of them in the standings. I agree with every single word they just said. Harden, as much as people joke, Harden is struggling right now because of the free throws. You do have to remember that he's up there with Curry for some of the 3-point records. So Yes, he's struggling with the free throw rules because, I mean, James Harden has always been sort of a flopper with that, just like Trae Young. But at the same time, he does still know how to play basketball. And people, I feel like, are overreacting with the Harden thing. So it's possible that he gets his mojo back and he starts draining threes. But again, it's one of those things you just kind of have to wait and see, because it's hard to make that call on the first week. And yeah, the Nets are going to have to figure out a way to get points without James Harden flopping, because yeah, I'm not even going to talk about it more than I already have, because James Harden was a flopper 100%. All right, next, the Charlotte Hornets will have their first All-Star in 3 years. The Hornets haven't had a representative at the game since Kemba Walker, but they snapped their drought with a pair of selections this season. LaMello Ball oozes stardom from his stats to his style, and reigning Eastern Conference Player of the Week, Miles Bridges, is evolving into a do-it-all threat who keeps the highlight reels spinning. Okay, so we talked earlier, I think LaMelo Ball could be an all-star. I don't know if Miles Bridges will win all-star voting this year. I'm not saying he's not an all-star, but again, you got to think about sort of voting as well. And I don't think Miles Bridges really wins that popularity contest just yet. So we'll see, though. Chicago Bulls. Bulls are a true title contender. Okay, this is something that everybody has said, and I don't know if I agree with it. After a 4-0 start, Chicago looks like a bona fide contender, especially with the Kyrie Irving-less Nets stumbling out of the gate, while the Bulls' offense was expected to take off with the additions of DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and Alex Caruso. It's actually the defense that carried the team. You hear that? You see that? I told you. Defense is what matters now with the foul baiting rules. It's defense. Defense, if the Bulls win a championship this year, I'm going to say defense wins championships again. Defense is back with the new foul baiting rules, and it excites me so much. All right. Zach LaVine could get some real MVP love if Chicago's hot start continues, and Ball looks like he's finally found the perfect environment to grow his game. If the defense is legit and Kobe White makes a healthy return to the court, the Bulls have a real chance to win a championship. Let's just hope that the rivalry doesn't spawn again. Some of you older NBA fans know what I'm talking about. That Bulls Knicks, yikes. 1 point game for the win. I mean, all right. Cleveland Cavaliers. Evan Mobley will be the team's best player before the end of his rookie season. All right, yes, this is true. I actually agree with this 100% because we talked about Evan Mobley a little bit whenever the draft happened. I think the problem is he's playing in Cleveland, because in Cleveland you already have so many big guys that his talent isn't really getting shown. And for some reason, he's been pushed out of the conversation everywhere. Like, people are only talking about Cade Cunningham or Jalen Green. But Evan Mobley was the number 3 pick. Evan Mobley is easily just as good. The problem is he's playing as a big man on Cleveland, where their starting 5 is 4 other big men. So, but I mean, he's putting up numbers. He struggled a little bit his first game, but after the first game, he started getting his groove. And again, we're talking about defense becoming an important part of the game again, and big men are going to be very important. And so Evan Mobley is doing exactly what he needs to do. So let's read what they said about it and see if it matches up with what I just said. All right. Now in year 4 of their rebuild, the Cavs have assembled some good young players with Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, Lauri Markkanen and Jarrett Allen. Despite their experience, it's actually the 20-year-old rookie Mobley who will quickly stand out as the team's best player. Mobley already looks like an outstanding defender, just a few games into his career, showing the ability to shut down Trae Young on the perimeter before sticking close enough to him on a drive to swat his shot at the basket. Even at 7'0", he's got the athleticism to defend anywhere on the court at a high level. The number 3 overall pick is also averaging 14.3 points, 8.3 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.3 steals, and 2.0 blocks. Yes. And is shooting 55% overall in his first 4 games. Given what he brings to the table on both ends, Mobley will be considered the Cavaliers' best player by the year's end, if not sooner. I think he's already the Cavs' best player. The problem is just like we said, he's getting shunned out by Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham being the other 2 picks, and then the fact that he's a big man on a team full of big men. But, 1.3 steals, especially as a big man, is really impressive because anybody who watches the NBA or even plays 2K, I know 2K is a video game, but it does have some realism. The shorter you go, the easier steals are going to be because you're closer to the floor in order to swat the ball away. And so, being 7 foot and averaging 1.3 steals is really nice. And then you obviously have the 2 blocks in there. And, I think if he can boost this rebounds a little bit from 8.3 to maybe averaging a double-double with his points and rebounds, then he could easily, you might call me crazy because, he's only a rookie. But, if he increases his rebounds and and just keeps his blocks and steals where they're at, keep it consistent, he could easily win a Defensive Player of the Year in the next coming years. So, Evan Mobley, definitely the best player on the Cavs right now. It's just a matter of people seeing it is the problem. All right. Dallas Mavericks. Hot take. Kristaps Porzingis will not finish the season as a Maverick. I don't want to say yes or no on this. It's hard to say. If Kristaps Porzingis has decent trade value, this would be pretty lukewarm. After a 2021 to 2022 campaign where the fit between him and Luka Doncic looked chunky at best, KP is off to a ice-cold start this season. Jason Kidd may be intent on restoring Porzingis' unicorn status, but he'll learn before long that the best path to decent offense with Luka is high pick and rolls with a good rim runner and shooter spreading the floor. Porzingis wants a little bit more responsibility within the offense, including post-ups like he experienced during his days in the triangle. The problem, of course, is that this type of play is nowhere near as effective as Luka's bread and butter. Okay, yes. Yes, this has been talked about many, many times, that Kristaps Porzingis wants the ball in his hands more, but Dallas does well when the ball is in Luka's hands. And so how do you benefit both winning games and doing what you're open? I just clicked on something. Oh, it was an ad to buy 2K. Yeah, let's not do that. Because 2K is like $100 this year. Stop taking me to the buy 2K page. Okay, sorry. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. How do you benefit, how do you compensate winning games with Luka, but also giving the ball to KP? And that's the issue that the Mavs are facing, and that's the issue they will always continue to face until they figure out a system or trade KP away. Because, they're not going to trade Luka anytime soon. Luka just signed the max deal. And, Heat Check has a video talking, looking at highlights and stuff of the recent games, and Luka literally, passes the ball to KP and then just, stands behind in the backcourt doing nothing so KP can do something. And it's when you have that level of distrust with the other person, you just sort of stand behind to transition to defense, knowing that like the shot is gonna like go off and you're gonna be back on defense with a missed shot. You know, you gotta be able to trust your teammates, and Luka has like zero faith in Porzingis, it seems like, as well as many of the Mavericks fans right now. So, all right, Denver Nuggets. Hot take: if fully healthy, Denver will win the West. Let's think about who else is in the West real quick. You have the Lakers. The Lakers aren't gonna win the West. We talked about that. Here, I'm gonna look up the conference real quick just so I don't forget anybody, because I could very easily forget a team and then, you know. All right, so you got the Utah Jazz. Yeah, the West is scary right now. The Nuggets are going to have to beat the Utah Jazz with Rudy Gobert in order to win the West, obviously. Then you have Golden State, once Clay starts to get his rhythm, could easily go to the finals. You have the Timberwolves, who I mentioned before, might be a dark horse. And you have the Grizzlies, you know, some other teams kind of thrown in there. So the Nuggets definitely have some obstacles in front of them. I definitely think that the Jazz are more likely to take the West, or the Warriors, than the Nuggets, but let's see what they say. We can't fully evaluate the Nuggets until Jamal Murray is back, which won't happen until midseason at the earliest. But what we've seen so far suggests Denver is as dangerous as any team in the West. Nikola Jokic is picking up right where he left off with his MVP campaign, and Eric Gordon continues to fit in nicely just as he did after he was traded to Denver midseason. Michael Porter Jr. is shooting well. Before Murray's injury last year, the Nuggets were a trendy pick to go to the finals. If he's back in time for the playoffs this year, it's time to pick that talk back up. Excuse me, guys. Yeah, I definitely see where they're coming from, but again, I think it's more likely that it could be the Jazz. Detroit Pistons. It's time to bench Killian Hayes. Okay, this isn't even a hot take. This is just yes. Hayes has had a rough rookie campaign after being selected number 7 overall by the Pistons, playing just 26 games in an injury-shortened season. When on the court, he looked like one of the worst offensive players in the NBA, averaging just 6.8 points and 35% shooting. Given his injuries and COVID-shortened season, Hayes had to be better in year 2, right? So far, Hayes has been even worse, putting up 6.3 points and shooting 18.2% from deep. Yeah, if you're shooting less than 20%, you need to be benched. I forget which game it was, but there was literally a game where like Killian Hayes played like 30-something minutes and literally had 0 points. So you have to bench him, but the question is, like, who else do you play? Because you have Cade Cunningham, but the Detroit Pistons aren't playing Cade Cunningham at all right now, which is kind of weird. I think the injury was way more serious than they initially said, and so they're not playing Cade Cunningham. So you got to get Cade Cunningham in there, but the problem is I could see Cade Cunningham literally doing the exact same as Killian Hayes. Not with, like, the being ineffective from offense, but with, like, the injuries. Because, I mean, it says right here, the first sentence, Hayes had a rough rookie campaign after being selected number 7 overall and then playing just 26 games in an injury-shortened season. You know, we obviously have no idea what the future will look like, but I feel like Cade Cunningham could easily do something similar where he's the number 1 pick and then he just gets injured and doesn't play at all. I mean, we saw the same thing happen with Zion. Zion was selected number 1, and then because he was sort of just a glass cannon, he got injured, and then the Pelicans were just stuck. And now the same thing is happening year after year with Zion. So we'll have to see how Cade Cunningham does with injuries and things like that. All right. Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors won't make the play-in. Okay, this is definitely a hot take. The Golden State Warriors are going to fucking make the play-in. The Warriors played twice in last year's play-in tournaments, losing to the Los Angeles Lakers and Memphis Grizzlies. This year the Warriors won't make the play-in at all, and instead they'll easily lock in one of the top 6 play. Oh, okay, they fucking did. They did a bamboozle on us. They said this year the Warriors won't make the play-in at all. Instead, they'll easily lock in one of the top 6 playoff seeds. Yeah, okay. I thought you were saying that they'll be like bottom of the conference, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? All right. The Warriors are quite good, and that's before getting Klay Thompson back after a couple years with knee and Achilles injuries. The emergence of Jordan Poole as a primary scorer, along with the additions of solid veterans like I can't pronounce that, and Otto Portal Jr., given Stephen Curry enough to compete with almost anyone in the NBA. When Klay returns, the Warriors may even look strong enough to land at least one round of playoff home court advantage. I said before that the Warriors, once they get Klay back, could easily even go to the finals, maybe, because I mean it's just the Warriors, man. It's the fucking Warriors. Like, I mean, everybody was joking before that it was going to be, when LeBron was on the Cavs, it was going to be Warriors-Cavs, like, every single year. And then you had them going against Toronto, and, I mean, yeah, it's the fucking Warriors. All right, Houston Rockets. Jalen Green becomes the hot take. Jalen Green becomes the 6th rookie to average at least 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Rockets rookie Jalen Green is averaging 16 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 3 assists a game. Bumping all those numbers up to the benchmarks above won't be easy, particularly the assist. But as the season progresses, Green becomes more comfortable against this level of competition, and Houston leans a little bit harder into the tank. His production should tick up. Through 3 games, veterans like DJ Augustine, Eric Gordon, and Christian Wood are getting plenty of opportunities to create from scratch and use up possessions. Houston is going to fade down the standings, and so will the responsibilities of those players. Before long, one or more could start sitting entire games. Green will have to share the court and the offense with guys like Green will have to share the court and the offense with guys like Kelvin Porter Jr. and Sengun, but his numbers are going to rise, and to reach his full potential, Houston needs to experiment with his on-ball and playmaking abilities. Exactly what they said in that last sentence. Houston needs to, he's a rookie, and so they need to figure out what exactly can Jalen Green do with the team that he's on. And Jalen Green is a phenomenal player. I mean, just watch any Houston game, and he's going crazy. But they need to figure out how to basically build around Green. And I still don't think that they're really doing that effectively. They need to basically tell these older players to play through Green. And yeah, that's going to take some getting used to for the Rockets. All right, Indiana Pacers. Sabonis is a top 3 power forward in the NBA. Is that supposed to mean now or all time? Because if it's all time, then fuck no. With averages of 24.8 points, 12.3 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 1.3 steals, shooting 62.9% and 40% from 3. Coming off back-to-back All-Star appearances. How many power forwards can we say are... Excuse me. How many power forwards can we still say are better than Sabonis? The answer is 2, with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Anthony Davis the only names worthy of being atop the list. With apologies to Zion Williamson, Julius Randle, Draymond Green, Pascal Siakam, and John Collins, Sabonis is worth being at number 3. I don't think you need to apologize to any of those people. I think that a lot of those people on that in those names are either injury prone or nowhere near the same level. So, as one of the best passing big men in the NBA, whose outside shooting was his only effective weakness. It's time we give Sabonis the recognition he deserves, yet doesn't receive while playing with the Pacers. I think he still receives decent recognition. I mean, you hear the word Sabonis, you know who people are talking about. So, all right. And let's go with the Los Angeles Clippers. Paul George wins scoring title. Didn't you just say earlier that Tatum is going to lead in NBA scoring, though? You're like hypocriticizing yourself here. All right, the Clippers aren't the same contender with Kawhi Leonard out and definitely with a knee injury this season, but the team still has an elite scorer to rely on with Paul George. His hot start to the season won't subside. The Clippers have a solid roster with capable complementary pieces. The franchise will need to get through the play-in tournament to make the playoffs, but George will give them a shot, averaging over 30 points per game on the season. Yeah, I don't have much to say about that. All right, Los Angeles Lakers, Austin Reeves, rotation staple. Lakers fans were generally irate when the team let Alex Caruso walk in free agency to the Chicago Bulls. The low-maintenance role player has already begun to build another cult following in Chicago. Meanwhile, the Lakers have started slowly, clearly missing Caruso's defense and unselfish play. Enter rookie Austin Reeves, who signed with the Lakers immediately after he went undrafted in July. Coach Frank Vogel didn't play Reeves in the Lakers' first loss, but he had Reeves defending a scorching hot John Morant on the Memphis Grizzlies by the team's third game. Reeves has a lot to learn before he's at Caruso's level, but he's already a viable defender, playmaker, and shooter who will earn a regular season role in the rotation. Yeah, they make a good point here. I've said before, the main issue with the Lakers is how they handle rotations. So if you think this guy is can be on that sort of level, and you find a way to put him in the rotations, then yeah, definitely try it out, see how it works for you. All right, Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant will make the All-Star team. It's kind of the same thing as LaMello Ball. I could easily see it. Given Ja Morant's averages of 35.0 points and 8.0 assists, his 44.4 3-point percentage through 3 games, this might not feel like much of a hot take, consider the wealth of talent amongst Western Conference guards, though. Leapfrogging Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Mike Conley, or Donovan Mitchell won't be easy, and those are just the ones who made it last season. There will be other contenders who rise alongside Morant. Yeah, it's going to be a battle between him and LaMello for All-Star, because I'm pretty sure, hang on, let me look it up so I don't sound dumb. Ja Morant position. Yeah, him and LaMello play the same position, so it's going to be between him and LaMello, honestly. All right, Miami Heat. Tyler Hero is Miami's alpha scorer and will be the NBA Sixth Man of the Year. I disagree with this. It's probably going to be Patty Mills, but I could see an argument for him being the Sixth Man of the Year. But he's definitely not Miami's alpha scorer. I mean, you got people like Kyle Lowry on that team, and some of the guys that were on there last year. So Tyler Hero isn't the most talented player on the Heat, but he is the most pre-programmed to score. Okay, I like how you explained what you meant, because that's a lot more easier to see. Armed with a quick stride 6-man role that fits him like a tailored, drippy draft night suit, he's positioned to remind the hoops world of the offensive prowess that first surfaced during his bubble breakout. In Miami's first 2 games, Hero scored 57 points. The Heat's next closest player was Jimmy Butler with 40. Impressively, Hero had nearly as big of a lead in field goals attempts with 46 to Butler's 32. Yeah, I think they explain it pretty well, but I still think it's going to be Patty Mills at Sixth Man of the Year. But, I mean, with what they just said, yeah, you could argue for Tyler Hero. Milwaukee Bucks, hot take, Giannis Antetokounmpo should be a full-time center. Okay, this is something Bucks fans everywhere have talked about. The thought of Antetokounmpo playing center when he originally entered the league as a scrawny 190-pound forward in 2003 would have been laughable. Now, 51 plus pounds of muscle later and 6'11", 242-pound frame. There's no reason why the two-time MVP can't play in today's paint full-time. Surrounding Antetokounmpo with shooters is a recipe for success, and watching opposing centers try to guard him on the perimeter would be laughable as he blows by and takes 2 steps to get to the basket. Yeah, we talked about last podcast. I mean, Giannis is just Giannis. Anybody that tries to defend him, it just typically doesn't work. And people have forever said, put Giannis at the center. But, I mean, P.J. Tucker is gone now. So the question becomes, who do you put in at the power forward? And we signed Bobby Portis back this year. So I would like to see Bobby Portis in on that starting 5 in Giannis's spot. And then put Giannis in at the center position, because I honestly don't like Lopez. I know Lopez has put up numbers in the past, but in the playoffs, Lopez was a little, So let's put Giannis in at the center, and then let's put Bobby Portis in at the 4, and then find somebody to put in at the 3, and then you have the 1 and 2 covered already. So you could probably put Chris Middleton at the 3. I know Chris Middleton has played small forward before, even though I much prefer him as a small guard. But yeah, you can put Middleton in at the 3, and then you can have George Hill at the 2 and Drew Holiday in at the 1. So, all right, Minnesota Timberwolves. Hot take: Anthony Edwards will be an all-star this year. Once again, all-star talk. Edwards has some eye-popping moments in his rookie season, but struggled with consistency. Thus far in the young season, we've seen the best version of what he could be capable of. He has 29 points and shot 6 of 12 from three-point range, yada, yada, yada. If the Timberwolves continue to be competitive, Edwards will be making his first career all-star appearance in the second season in the league. Again, I think he does have all-star level power, but it's a popularity contest at the end of the day, so you're gonna have to beat the votes is the problem. All right, New Orleans Pelicans. Hot take: New Orleans doomed itself in the offseason by unloading Lonzo Ball. This isn't a hot take. This is just facts. The Pelicans finally notched their first win of the season Monday, but the decision to move on from Lonzo Ball looks like one of the offseason's worst. The Bulls are now 4-0, with Lonzo averaging 4.2 points, 5.8 rebounds, 5.0 assists, 2.0 blocks, and 2.0 steals and 1.8 blocks. He's a team best plus 12.5 points per game. Zion Williamson hasn't played yet, but the Pelicans also ditched some valuable chemistry there over their 2 seasons together. New Orleans was plus 5.8 points per 100 possessions when Zion and Lonzo shared the floor. Yeah. I mean, Zion isn't really doing anything for you guys now, and even if he was, he's not going to be doing as much without Lonzo. And yeah, the Pelicans have like nobody right now. So, come on, guys, you're last in the conference, and you're probably gonna stay there. So, all right, New York Knicks. Julius Randle will finish top 5 in MVP voting. Maybe top 10. I don't know. It's the same thing as Trae Young. We have to wait and see. Last season, Julius Randle was one of the NBA's breakout players as he led the Knicks back to the playoffs for the first time since 2013. When you look at the additions they've made, it should be even better this year. For Randle, it led him to being the first-time All-Star in addition to finishing 8th in the league in MVP voting. An improved Knicks team record-wise coupled with comparable stats to last season will result in the 26-year-old player finishing in the top 5 in MVP voting. Okay, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Oklahoma City Thunder. Hot take: the Thunder could be as bad as the process Sixers. Unfortunately, the Thunder started the year 0-3. They're going to take a lot of losses for the second consecutive year, and unlike last year's other worst teams, they didn't come away with one of the rookies widely believed to be a future star. As good as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, and as intriguing as some of the Oklahoma City's other prospects are long term, there isn't a lot here to suggest the Thunder will win more games than anybody. This team is going to be bad. Wow, they did not hold back for you Thunder fans. Yeah, the Thunder have been losing a lot of games, but they also did just get Josh Giddey, and Josh Giddey has been, having some highlight plays. So I think they will be able to win some games this season, but the question is how much. And I still feel like they will be towards the bottom of the conference this year, unfortunately. So, Orlando Magic, hot take, a rookie is already their most important player. It's not Jalen Suggs. Yo, what the fuck? Theoretically, the Magic are built to follow the lead of Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz whenever they're healthy. They also already have a handful of recent lottery picks, including Jalen Suggs. But it's the player taken 3 picks later, Franz Wagner, making the biggest waves in Disney's backyard. He's already an impact defender, and his do-it-all offensive bag has yielded. Yeah, we talked about with Swiss Eel last podcast about Franz Wagner, but I still think Jalen Suggs is better. I think if you have... actually, never mind. All right, Philadelphia 76ers. Seth Curry will be the NBA's most improved player this season. I don't agree with that. The 31-year-old Seth Curry has been around the NBA long enough to the point where there's little about his game that's surprising. He's part of the Curry lineage, which means he's not afraid to or hesitant to shoot over and over again. And with Ben Simmons' uncertain future with the franchise, Curry's looked upon as the more impactful as a scorer. I still don't think he's going to win MIP, though. There are many other players that are up there for MIP. So he's definitely going to improve this season. I'm not saying he won't, but for most improved player, probably not. Phoenix Suns, DeAndre Ayton will earn his max contract from the Suns. The Phoenix Suns had the opportunity to sign Ayton to an extension before the season began, but couldn't reach a goal. Ayton was looking for a max contract. The Suns weren't ready to go that far. Remain a playoff contender this season. Well, it's not a lock that the Suns return to the NBA Finals. They won't return to the NBA Finals. Ayton will provide a consistent inside force, both offensively and defensively. Yeah, I could easily see him just going hard, like crazy, like. He wants to earn that max contract, and so I could definitely see him putting up crazy numbers to get that contract. It just depends. Portland Trailblazers, hot take, CJ McCollum will make his first All-Star team. It depends on if Dame improves his game. Since Mike Conley Jr. was named an injury replacement last year, McCollum has taken over the mantle of best player in the NBA who has never been an All-Star. He likely would have made it last season if he didn't suffer a foot injury. This year 9 is his chance. Yeah. But again, it just... If Dame starts improving his game again, then it's going to be it's going to be the same thing every year where people talk about Dame and not CJ. So... Sacramento Kings. Kings make a big in-season trade. The Kings haven't made the playoffs since they had Mike Bibby and Metta World Peace back in 2005 to 2006. They've gone through several lottery picks and undoubtedly boast a talented roster this season. General Manager Monte McNair will make a big move before the trade deadline to bolster their postseason goal. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are saying, trade out De'Aaron Fox, get rid of Buddy Hield. People have said for years, though, to get rid of Buddy Hield. So it might happen, it might not. We never know what a team's plans are. San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs will make the play-in tournament. I mean, they did last year, yeah. The Spurs aren't missing any stars. They even have 2 or 3 of Keldon Johnson, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Doug McDermott, Lonnie Walker, Jakob Poeltl, or Devin Vassell outperform expectations. San Antonio can crack the top 10. Yeah. And I know people before have said trade Derek White, but I don't think we should trade Derek White. I think he's just been having some off nights. I really don't, and like we couldn't even trade him if we wanted to, because his contract goes to 2025. But I mean, it's just a matter of him getting back into like the feel of things. I just hope it doesn't turn into a Ben Simmons thing, because 76ers fans were like, "Oh, let's wait out and see how good Ben Simmons does." And then they were like, "Oh, he just had a bad year. Let's see if he does well again." And then he had another bad year and was like, "Oh, let's see how well he does." And then he had another bad year. And then it's like, and then you fuck up in the playoffs, and it's like, okay, now we have what's going on now with Ben Simmons. So Toronto Raptors, Pascal Siakam will be on another roster by the trade deadline. I don't think this is really a hot take. This is something that was talked about during the draft. They already have Scotty Barnes. So I'm not. There's not really much to talk about there. They already have another person for his position. So Utah Jazz. Utah will be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference again. That's not really a hot take. That's just facts. There's no clear-cut favorite at the top of the Western Conference this year. All the other contenders have questions they're going to have to answer. As the year progresses, our key players they're waiting to get back from injury. The Jazz, meanwhile, have continuity on their side, bringing back mostly the same group that had the West top record last season and upgrading the bench with Rudy Gay. It remains to be seen whether they'll have more success in the playoffs this year, but they're the safest pick to be the number 1 seed again. Yeah, you just said right there, they're the safest pick to be the number 1 seed once again. So how is that a hot take? That's not a hot take. That's just, yes, that's probably going to happen. Washington Wizards, if can't pronounce his name, has a trade market. The Wizards should explore it. It's admittedly early to bail on a prospect with fewer than 60 career outings, but Deni Avdija, I guess is how you pronounce it. I don't know. Is doing nothing to live up to his billing as the steal of the 2020 draft. He offers theoretical versatility, but he looks more like a player without a standout skill. Other than some decent work on the glass, his stat sheet is a big snoozer. Yeah, you can try and trade him, but again, if you just said he's not really doing anything, then who's going to want to take him is the problem. You have to have trade value in order to be traded. So, all right, that's the last one from Bleacher Report. Let's see how long the stream's been going on. All right, I think I might call the episode there, guys. I know all we really did was hot takes, but I said that was going to be the majority of the episode anyway. That's what I wanted to do for the Halloween episode. So, with that being said, I got to start getting ready for work. So, happy Halloween. I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. I will see y'all in the next one. And, yeah, listen on Spotify, listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That sort of thing, as well as listen, as well as go follow the Twitter, the Instagram, all that good stuff. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch, all that good stuff. And that is Nathan But Net, episode 15, Halloween episode, and I will see y'all later.